Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Undersecretary Fernandez, the department recently announced the Mineral Security Partnership to work with our partners on critical mineral supply chains. And certainly that's an important thing and an important start. But like the chairman, I'm concerned with the fragmentation of our own government. I wouldn't say that industry's in a panic, but I would say that industries, many of them, are deeply concerned about critical minerals and their ability to get them. China has as a policy, it seems, to monopolize everywhere they can. Now, a good example of that is cobalt. I got a piece of cobalt right here, and it came out of the ground in Idaho. And we got lots of cobalt in Idaho and would like to get it into the process. The difficulty is the announcement that the Mineral Security Partnership is to work with our partners. I'd really like to see the agencies of the United States government working together. When anybody tries to take this cobalt out of the ground in Idaho or any of the other critical minerals that we have, they're followed around by a parade of bureaucrats trying to stop them from getting the minerals out of the ground. It seems like nobody wants to get to yes. Everybody wants to get to no. What are you doing with our own agencies? Forgetting about our partners for a minute, other allies. What are we doing with our own agencies to try to get this stuff out of the ground?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Risch. We work with the Department of Energy. We work with a number of the agencies. Our focus at the State Department has been with our international partners, and so we share your concern. And the Mineral Security Partnership was a vehicle that we created together with some of our closest allies and partners to deal with the concern that you've raised to promote responsible investment in strategic countries while following the highest environmental, social, and governance principles. And the reason we started this investment vehicle, and then we've been getting great cooperation from a dozen countries that are members, basically because they have the same concern. Number one, we know that if we are going to have a clean energy future, we're going to need to increase exponentially our supplies of cobalt, lithium, and others. We also know that the PRC controls many of these minerals, and sometimes they either control 100% of the production of the mining, or they control all of the processing. That's a problem. And so what we need to do is to get our companies and our agencies to share information with our partners. Sometimes we're not getting this information in time, and so we've already talked to and we demarched our posts to get us this information when it's actionable. Then we're going to talk about with our private sector, with the financial institutions and financing, and our proposition will be to the producing countries is we are going to engage in a race to the top. Our companies are not going to compete in a race to the bottom. The Mineral Security Partnership could be extended as well to the U.S. And that's something that obviously we will consider. We're just starting. I think by the end of the year, my hope is that we will have some deals done, and that we'll be able to turn and try to expand that partnership.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's good to hear that you are making efforts in this regard. But again, I come back to we don't need to go to other places. We can focus right here at home, and I guarantee you that every ounce of this stuff that's brought out of the ground in the United States of America will be done so in a much more environmentally friendly way than it is anywhere else in the world. So if we're interested in seeing that we know we have to have these minerals. I mean, that's an absolute given. Everybody preaches they want electric cars. You can't have electric cars without these critical minerals, to say the least. So we really ought to be focusing more on that. And as the chairman indicated, we have this fragmentation between our agencies. And we have agencies that are pushing for electric cars and for a clean environment and everything else, and yet we have other agencies that are doing everything they possibly can to frustrate the ability of the private sector in the United States to take this stuff out of the ground and to process it well once it is out of the ground. So I appreciate your efforts with other countries. I'd say we need a diplomatic effort between your agency and other agencies of the United States to get to the same place on that. With that, my time is up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.